Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stacey and I'm so glad that you have decided to join me. I am an infidelity recovery coach and I specialize in helping the unfaithful in their affair and heal from it. Today we are going to talk about 5 ways to know our affair partner wants to end the affair. I think it's very important that we look out for these signs so that we can really begin to think about what it is that is best for us. Sometimes when we have an affair, a lot of times I'll say we, put the affair partner on a pedestal, we put the relationship on a pedestal, and we close our eyes to red flags, we close our eyes to things that we don't want to see, because if we actually paid attention to them, that means that we would take a chance on losing the good feeling that they've provided for us, the safe space, the emotional connection. And we don't want to lose that. We become very fearful of that. So we will close our eyes to the signs, in other words. And sometimes doing that can keep us stuck in a very, very toxic cycle. In the beginning of the relationship, of course, it's not that toxic. You both are in the romantic stage of love, so it's not that toxic. You don't have all the arguments or anything like that. But as time goes on, things can get really, really rough. I've seen some pretty bad relationships toward the end, and the pain is very deep. So we want to look out for some of these signs. That way we can start to prepare ourselves to face the reality of what we really are involved in. Because an affair relationship, even though it's a relationship, it's still not a healthy relationship. It's not built on truth. It's not built on a godly foundation. So it's not going to last. Let's keep in mind that only 2% of affair couples actually get married, and of those 2% that get married, they have a 70% chance of divorcing. So keep that in mind. The relationship, although it's validating, although it feels good to have a friend or have someone that you feel like is your soulmate, that kind of thing, it's not, you won't be able to carry that feeling and that connection throughout real life or in the reality of real life. And the reason for that is because all relationships go through stages. And if you have unhealthy coping skills in your marriage and you use those to have an affair, you are more than likely going to repeat that in a new relationship. Okay, so let's get into 5 ways to know about, or 5 ways to recognize when the affair partner wants to end the relationship. So the first one is called like a slow fade. It's when they start to distance themselves. They make excuses, like if you see each other, can see each other, then they may, and you have plans to meet up, they may cancel last minute. They may say, oh, something came up, my wife is going to be home, or I have to watch the kids, or, I have to work late. And they start to break appointments, or not appointments, but like dates or whatever you want to call it. They start to break those meetups that they had with you. Whereas in the beginning, they were pursuing you, they were after you, they were there, they were there early. They start to slack up on calling you. They may still message you, I love you in the morning, or whatever that good morning text is, and the good night text. They may still keep those two, because those are the hardest ones to stop, by the way. But anyways, during the day, the time that they contact you might start getting less and less. Sorry, I think that's the ice cream truck. I don't know if you can hear it, but I hope not. Anyways, I was like, what is that? Okay, so they just start to pull themselves away from you, and you can start to tell. You will be able to sense that they're pulling away from you, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's going on? Something's different. Number 2 is they will give you hope for a future. Like if you guys talk about being with each other, or you don't really have that conversation about being with each other, they'll say, well, maybe in the future we might be able to get together. If things were different, like the timing is just so off with this relationship. Maybe if we're not with our spouses, this might be a different conversation. If I was in a different place or you were in a different place, then maybe we could talk about a future, and it's very possible we could have a future if my marriage doesn't work out, if your marriage doesn't work out. So they kind of start to throw little hints like that, where they're talking more future based, not really making plans, but saying, hey, maybe in the future, if things don't work out here, then maybe in the future. That's completely different than saying, hey, when should we get together? Do you think it's possible to get together? That kind of thing. So that's something we want to think about. Make sure you're aware that it's not the planning of your future, but it's more of maybe if things don't work out. And that's not the best place to be either. So the number 3 is, I want to end my marriage the right way. So they start to say things like, I don't want to end my marriage because of you. Like, I don't want you to be the influence as to why I end my marriage. And most people don't want that anyways, but this is more of a, I don't think, like, if I end my marriage, I want it to be because the marriage fell apart, not because I'm having an affair. And that's how I want to do it. Like, I just think it would be better if we did it the right way, because if we get caught and then we end our marriages, then we are going to resent each other. And I don't want that to happen. Then we might blame each other for our marriages falling apart. So that's number 3. That's the kind of conversation they might have. Number 4 is constantly talking about feeling guilty and about the affair being discovered. So in the beginning, you might not talk much about feeling guilty because you're on that high, you're on that rush. But over time, the guilt is going to really start to set in, and your partner might start to say, I just feel so guilty. Even after you get together, you might get together, meet up for sex, whatever. And then afterwards, they feel really guilty, and they talk about, I feel so guilty. I'm afraid my wife or my husband is going to find out. I'm afraid we're going to get caught and we're going to get exposed and I'm going to lose everything. So they start really talking about their fears, like, I feel guilty. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my kids. I might lose my job, so they talk, all of this is starting to come to the surface, and you find yourself in that conversation a little bit more. Now, number 5 is talking about our needing to end it, saying, hey, we need to take a break. This relationship is really messing with my head. I don't know what I feel anymore. We need space to think about what we really want. Now, my affair partner had gotten to this place where he said, I no longer have feelings for my wife, and all I want to do is be with you, and it's really messing with my head now. Like, now I'm really getting depressed. I'm really getting upset. The reason it was upsetting him so much is because we could not get together right away financially, and where we live, in our state, it takes, when you have kids, it takes almost a couple of years to get a divorce for it to go to be finalized. So we knew that it was going to be a couple of years before we could actually start a life together, and that's what was depressing him, that it was going to take longer than he wanted. And he, there's stages of an affair. Like, an affair relationship progresses through these stages, and when you get towards the end, you start to really pull away from your spouse, and then villainizing them really becomes strong in your mind. So staying with them becomes harder and harder and harder. And that's where he had gotten, and it was scaring him. So now he didn't talk about taking a break. It was me who ended it at that moment, but we had spoke of taking a break prior to that. Now we couldn't. It lasted, I think, 24 hours, but you know, we weren't able to take a break. But anyways, that's just that's my story, how it worked for us. But what I see with my clients also is that that conversation will begin. Hey, we need to take a break because this is messing with my head. And usually that means in that person who's asking for the break that they're trying to back out of the relationship. So in Louisiana, what we call when someone tries to back out of like plans or something, oh, so you're trying to crawfish your way out of this plan we made. So in light of this, they're trying to crawfish out of the relationship. And if you know about crawfishing, you might not, you know, crawfish, they go backwards. Like, you know, they'll, like when they move, they can move backwards. So it's just a little joke, but they will get to that place where you can see them, and going back to the beginning, like they start to withdraw. So pay attention to these signs. Let these signs start to affect you, to wake you up, like open your eyes to see, oh my gosh, this is not gonna end like I thought it would. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions or if you want to know how to work with me, check the box below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.